You have just put together a superstar team. I mean, the best of the best people. You got that one person that's been recruited by every company, they came to your team. And you got that other person that was on the team that was totally thriving. You got to get them on your team as well. I mean, you look around and you're like, these are the best people I could have possibly put together. And yet, they're underperforming. What in the world is going on? Well, I want to share with you a study about chickens. Stay with me now. I know it sounds crazy that I'm going to talk about chickens, but there's a lot to learn. And once you hear this study, you will never forget it, and you won't be able to unsee what I'm about to share with you. Hi, I'm Jamie Shapiro. I'm an organizational psychologist and a CEO coach. I'm also an author, and this is my book, Connected Culture, and I explore this concept of high-performing teams in my book, and it's the same concept I'm going to be exploring in today's episode. So let's talk about what this looks like. How do you know when you have a team that's incredibly talented, but not truly working together as a team? Well, the first thing you're going to notice is the mindset, right? The mindset is an I mindset versus a we mindset. And what that looks like is that people are driving their own agendas. They're not thinking about how we win together as a collective. They're thinking about themselves, their own metrics, and they get very, very siloed in their perspective. It's not about thinking about the broader organization. It's not thinking about the broader team. It's thinking about, how do I individually win every day? So you'll see that person or multiple people just focused on their areas, their metrics, not the collective. So here's a really specific example that maybe you've felt before, where you think you're on a team and you're all looking out for each other, have each other's back, supporting one another. And then you see a couple of members that every time you turn around seem to be empire building, meaning they're just trying to get more and more resources and people reporting to them because they want the control of it. Ever felt like that? Ever felt like you're in it, supporting collectively, trying to collaborate, but other people around you are trying to build an empire around you? That is when people are in silos, not in a true mindset of the we. As a coach, and a coach that works with a lot of teams, I really wanted to understand what is going on. Why sometimes do we get the best people in a room and we're not getting them to work most effectively together? And I was looking at some teams research when I stumbled on a study about chickens, and it was surprising to me too, but it was so interesting. This biologist, William Murr, he did a study with chickens, and he decided to take 2 different coops. He took all of these chickens that were super high performing, like laying so many eggs. That's what I mean by high performing. They're laying a lot of eggs. He took all the highest performing chickens and he put them in one coop. And then in another coop, he had all these average chickens, like ones that were kind of laying some eggs, some not. And he was like, oh, I'm going to put those together in another coop. And he was sure that the high performing coop was going to lay so many eggs. And the exact opposite thing happened. The average coop actually started laying more eggs than the high performing chicken coop, which is crazy. But here's what happened. Those chickens in the high performing group, they started getting overly competitive with each other. They started pecking at each other and creating all kinds of stress in the chicken coop. And so they stopped laying as many eggs. Whereas the other chickens, they weren't doing any of that competitive behavior. They were just laying eggs. So what does this tell us about a team? Well, just because you have high performers doesn't mean you have a high performing team. And leaders get this confused a lot. They feel like if they have high performers, that those high performers should just figure out the team dynamics and start operating well together. That doesn't happen without real intention, real focus on how we optimize working together and not just what we are producing together. What we see in high-performing teams is that they are founded in connection, in trust and care. That's the foundation of a high-performing team. And when you watch a high-performing team, it almost looks like magic is happening. It's hard to believe they can accomplish what they are accomplishing. But that's because they have a foundation of connection. They are communicating effectively with each other. They have clarity on their roles, their responsibilities, their shared goals, and they are leaning on each other. They are supporting one another and striving for excellence as a collective. And ultimately, they understand the impact they are creating with each other. They're aligned on their vision, their values, their goals. That's what a high-performing team looks like. A team of just high performers doesn't look anything like that. It looks like people that are out for their own agenda, their own wins. They're not supporting each other. They're not communicating clearly. They're often talking about each other, not to each other. They're not really striving for the right goals together. They're striving for their own goals. And that doesn't allow the team to really focus on the enterprise, the organization, the team. It basically leads to people just being focused on themselves. That's the difference. And yes, those individuals, they might be killing it. But just because an individual is killing it doesn't mean that the team is winning together. So a super chicken inside of a team looks like somebody that is really focused on their own agenda, their own goals, their own metrics, and they don't care what gets in the way. Meaning they're going to step on anything, grab any resource, carry any budget. They are going to just drive forward and leave people in the wake. That is what we call a toxic rock star, right? It's somebody who's performing but killing the culture in the process of doing it. So how do we get out of super chicken mode and into true high-performing team mode? Well, one of the most critical things, once we have that foundation of trust and support, we really need to think about how we lean into each other. How do we ask for help? We have these narratives in our mind that if we ask for help, number one, we're going to burden the other person. We're going to put too much on their plate. They're already so busy. And we're worried that if we ask for help, that somehow that's a sign of weakness. I want you to think about the last time someone asked you for help. How did it feel? Felt great, didn't it? Because you were seen, heard, and acknowledged for your strengths. You see, what we see in the research is anytime someone asks us for help, it actually contributes to our well-being. But we have this narrative that we shouldn't do that. We shouldn't ask for each other's help. And nothing could be further from the truth, because it actually enhances not only well-being, but our ultimate ability to collaborate together. In order for us to ask for help, we've got to shift that story and think about that when we're asking for help, we are illuminating another person's strengths and we are leaning into those strengths. That is what is so magical about teams. 1 + 1 in teams is so much more than 2, because when we lean on each other, when we really start illuminating each other's strengths, that's when the magic happens. Now, if you're somebody that wants people to ask for your help, you might have to do something that might feel a little bit challenging, because we're a little bit conditioned to do this, which is every time someone asks you how you're doing, we have a tendency, it's a reflex, oh, I'm busy. We've got to remove the busy badge. We're basically putting up a wall. I'm not sure at what point we determined that when someone asks us how we're doing, that we should answer with our schedule instead of our humanity. But I would love for you, if you want to get people to start asking and leaning on you and illuminating your strengths, I want you to take the busy badge off and think about the next time someone asks you, how are you doing? I want you to actually answer with your humanity. That's what's going to give someone else the permission to do the same, and also give people access to asking for help. A real answer looks like, I'm doing great. I got to see my daughter play soccer last night. Or I'm actually kind of tired today, but you know what? I'm super energized about this work, so let's go. Or it might be, I actually am feeling the weight of things today. All of these are real answers. Like, we all have human emotion in the workplace, and yet we're so reluctant to share how we're actually doing. So if all of this is sounding like, whew, this might be my team, we are definitely a team of high performers, but we're not a high-performing team. The first thing I want you to ask is, do we have a foundation of trust and care? If the answer is yes, fantastic. The next question is, are we communicating with each other? Are we talking to each other, not about each other? And do we have the right clarity in our shared goals and how we're operating together? That's going to create a really solid foundation for then you to start leaning in on each other, to supporting one another and striving for excellence together, holding each other accountable, being open about when things are not working, when they are working. And ultimately, that's really what's going to lead us to our greatest contribution as a team. Here are the 5 C's: connection, candid communication, clarity, collaboration, and contribution. All high-performing teams, you have to start with trust and care. It's all in the connection. Connection is our access point to truly creating a high-performing team and not a group of high performers. If you found this episode useful, please subscribe to our channel if you're on YouTube. And if you're listening to this on a podcast, please make sure to save us to your list. So if you're a super chicken, which you probably are if you're watching this video, I just want you to be a super chicken that collaborates. Make sure that you're thinking about the we mindset, not the I mindset.